Good morning, good morning. Sawadee Kap to all. So here we are again. Another day in Bangkok. And today's a beautiful day, actually. I went outside and it's nice and cool. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's absolutely gorgeous outside. I don't know if you can see from here, but a very lovely day. I don't know if you can see also, but you know, there was the exit from the parking center upstairs, the parking lot upstairs, and that went to the highway, and there was a bunch of metal rods and some bamboo that were holding it up. That's gone now. They took that down. So this place is coming along slowly but surely. But anyway, it's a beautiful day. It's one of those days where, you know, I wake up in the morning, I got on the back of the motorcycle today, and I was like, wow, this is why I'm here. This beautiful weather, you know, there's not that many people out. I almost forgot about everything that's going on here, and that's what you need to do sometimes. So at first I was just gonna stay at home, and I thought, I'll go out, why not? So I wanna wait a few more minutes and see if some more people come in, but we are gonna talk about Thailand's sagging reputation. And I personally think it is sagging just from what people have been telling me. Everybody says I'm living the dream. A lot of people say that to me, but those who really know Thailand, it's just like everywhere else. There's pluses and minuses to living here. One negative here that many people don't talk about is the rising prices. That prices are getting more and more expensive. And like I mentioned the other day, in Jono's neck of the woods over there, way over on the other side of Bangkok, you know, you go over to get a burger and the thing's like $11 for a burger. You go to Burger King, it's $7, you know. So yes, it's cheaper in many ways, especially if you're eating like Thai food and that sort of thing. But even the Thai food has gone up in prices. And I was reading, it might be in one of these articles I have today, but I was reading about how the small vendors are the ones who benefit. They're benefiting right now because they're able to go out, they're selling their food, everything is pretty much normal. And some of the prices have gone up. Not really in my neighborhood so much, but I've noticed that now you want to get a fried rice, it's 40 baht, 50 baht in a lot of places. When I first came here, it was 10, 15 baht just for a plain old fried rice. You want an egg on top of it, add 5 baht. But you know, prices go up, that's what happens. They rarely go down in a country, they go up. So, one of the things that's really got me to this point where I'm talking about their reputation. It's not just, you know, people coming in and out with the COVID and can they come in and can they stay. It's everything. There's a large number of factors that are working against Thailand. There are plenty of other places to go and to visit as a tourist. And there are plenty of other places to go and to live. I just read that, and I didn't get in depth in it, but I read that the Philippines is now open to tourists. Now, Thailand has slowly opened and it is becoming a little easier to get in if you jump through the hoops. And it goes to what you believe in. Do you believe you really need to quarantine? Do you believe it's warranted? And how many people are going to be able to pay that, much less who want to do that? So let me read this article. Thailand fights to revive spot as top tourist destination. because between speaking with some other expats and seeing what's going on, and then seeing this article, got me thinking about the reputation of Thailand and how important it is to them. A leading business hotel in Bangkok is sprucing up rooms, restaurants, and hallways to meet new hygiene and safety standards as it prepares to welcome the first trickle of regular customers, foreign airline crews, in August. This is now a priority, including deep cleaning of our ventilator and air conditioning systems, said Marissa Sukason, Executive Vice President of Sukason Hotels, which owns 5 properties in the Thai capital, and in Pattaya, a seaside resort southeast of the city. We have a loyal market like airline crews from South Korea, and we need to be ready for them. I don't really want to read through this whole thing, but I will say this. Okay, the plan right now to business travelers and medical patients is 1,000 people per day. Seasoned travel industry observers say that travel corridors or travel bubbles, which other Asian countries such as China, Singapore, South Korea, and Vietnam, among others, are also pursuing, has raised the stakes of mutual trust in ongoing talks. Some of those discussions are bilateral, while others are looking at multilateral agreements. Setting up a corridor or bubble is complex and requires a high level of trust and coordination between respective health authorities. This would also require a range of various health controls to be implemented at border control. All right. Before I even go in any further, my own opinion is that any kind of a quarantine is going to piss people off. They're going to be like, why do I need to, especially if they're coming from the United States, which it doesn't say anything about the United States and Americans being able to get in because they are a high-risk group. And a lot of the people from Europe, they're going to let these people in. You know, I guess any number of tourists above 0 is good, because it helps them, and you know, it brings in revenue. So it's kind of like, you know, hey, every little bit helps. I understand that. What I don't understand though is the somewhat, I don't know if I would call it negative attitude, because I don't really think it's negative. I think in the beginning, listen, if you remember in the beginning, years and years ago, I did say Thailand is changing. It's going to be like Singapore. I say that all the time. Things are different. And people were, no, it's the same. It's the same. I'm like, it's not the same. Thank you very much, Richard Gallagher. You are the very first of the day. So choke D to you. Good luck for you all day, all night. Really appreciate it. Big shout out to Richard, and also to all those people who help support what I'm doing. Because you know what? Time is money. As much as you may not understand that or like it or whatever, bottom line is every minute that goes by, never forget this. I told this to my kids, I tell this to fighters, I tell this to all kinds of people. Every second goes by, guess what? You're getting closer to the end. So you're running out of time. You're on a countdown. So your time is valuable. My time is valuable. And thank you for showing the love, the appreciation. I appreciate it. There you go. There's your smile. Well, you know, now people want authenticity. They don't want phoniness. And I dare say that there is some phoniness, but there's phoniness anywhere. So, you know, is it really a Thai thing? No. Now, let me just head in my own direction here, because that's what I want to do. I can keep reading this. I got plenty of stuff I have plenty of information to go from. Here we go. Now, you know, I was going to say, somebody the other day was mentioning how how everybody is wearing their masks now, and that's why Thailand is so COVID free. First of all, they're not COVID free. And for whatever reason, the numbers are still low, so that's great. Maybe it's something that they've done. Maybe it's the wearing of the mask, the people staying home. I don't know what it is. I don't think anybody knows what it is. However, what I will say is, and I spoke to Jono yesterday, and he concurred, there are a hell of a lot of people just hanging out. They don't wear a mask, or they wear it around their neck, their chin. They're not wearing their masks. So, when you go out, listen, if I'm walking down the street and there's nobody on the street and I'm walking around without a mask, okay. But, there are a hell of a lot of people that are hanging out in restaurants and bars and that kind of thing, and they're not wearing any masks. They don't come in with masks. They don't walk around with masks. They're walking around I see them in the mall sometimes. They're not wearing a mask. Nobody's going to come up to them and go, oh, you must wear a mask. It's not going to happen. I mean, there's a guy walking by right now, no mask. Okay? Lady sitting there, she got a mask on. Now, as far as the reputation goes, I think that Thailand's reputation could have used an overhaul a couple of years ago. And I think at first it started out the right way. And listen, I've backed the Thai government. I've sided, tried to look at both sides and tried to do what I could to say good things about what's going on. And I'll continue to try. Continue to try find some good. When they try to get all the backpackers out, the people staying on tourism, staying on tourism visas for years at a time, okay, it's understandable. Anybody who thinks logically and has a little bit of sense understands that, there's a reason why you call it a tourist visa. And I used to have to argue with tourists about this because I knew a lot of guys who were staying they've been here for years, 3, 4 years, 5 years, some of them. And they just had a tourist visa. And I'm like, what's the point of having to get a business visa or a marriage visa or a retirement visa if all you have to do is just get a tourist visa? Well, then they squelched that, and it wasn't, it used to be you could get a 1-year visa, a tourist visa, very easy. You can't get that anymore. I don't even know if they have the multiple entry where you have to show $7,000 as a deposit. Now, right now, Miss Preo is working. Miss Beer is in the back working, doing her checking her stock or whatever it is. And I did have a little chat with them today. They're the same every day. They just come to, like a lot of Thai women, they just come to work. They come to work, they do their job, they try to have a little bit of joy in it. They go home, and for the most part, they don't do a whole lot. Once in a great while, they go out somewhere. They make enough money to live comfortably, somewhat comfortably, but they're not making so much that, and also they have the responsibility of coming in here, and they don't want to lose this job. It's not like they can go party every night, like some places and some people. So that's what's going on with them, all right? Now well, they do have, if you look over here, where's it at? They do straight ahead have some sanitizer, and then behind me, they have the sanitizer. Once they open up, it's already there, but I'll tell you what, very few people use it. Very few people. And this is the thing. I'm thinking about the tourism here, and I'm thinking about the future of Thailand. And one thing I can say is, right now, I wouldn't recommend coming here as a tourist or as an expat. I mean, if you're an expat and you got a wife and family here, okay, I understand that. If you're just a guy going, oh, I got to get back over there, Wouldn't recommend it. And the reason I wouldn't recommend it is, at this point, I don't think we're at the point where we're sure that there won't be a second or third wave here, and then a bunch of people get sick and they'll lock it down again. My concern is not that you're going to come here and everything's going to be screwed up. No, they seem to have their act together. My main concern is that people will come over here, especially if you're going to move here. To me, that's just foolish at this juncture. You come here as a tourist. Oh, I gotta go. I want to go Paitio. I want to party. First of all, most places are dead. It's not like, there's a huge number of people. Now, I do know some people who told me that in Pattaya, the places, in some places, it's kicking pretty good. But all in all, it's still dead. So why would you come over here? Why would you come over here just because, I need to get out of here. I need to leave right away. I had a guy the other day telling me he's ready to move out. He's like, 27 years old. He's like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done with this place. Okay, I understand you're done, but do you have the plan in place? Because let me tell you something. I didn't put a plan in place, any real plan. I didn't really need one back then because it was easy to hustle up some money and be able to pay for your way here. There was a time when $500, $700 here, $1,000 here was enough to where you could get by and you weren't suffering. Now, if you we're trying to get by on $500, you're $700, even $1,000. I mean, $1,000 if you're a single guy and you're frugal, okay, you can get by, but then what? What about your visa? What about, what if? So, now, as far as the reputation goes, the one thing that is starting to become more known and prevalent and more widespread as far as information goes, people know about Thailand. They know that if you go there, it's a money grab. Not necessarily because of the COVID. Well before that, people were starting to learn. They know about the jet ski scams now. They know about being, charged 10 times the amount to go into a national park or wherever. So they know what's going on. The word is out. I don't know how this place was number one. Was it number one last year? I think it was. I don't know how it's going to be number one again, ever. I really don't. I don't know how it will be, and that's why I say, for now, find somewhere else to go. And I don't mean it because I want to keep you out. I mean, wait until the protests subside. Wait until you figure everything out about the visa here. And it's not, you don't have to pay for 2 weeks in a hotel and pay for this and pay for that and jump through hoops. A number of people have written me and said they are starting to process everything to try to get through. And they're all having difficulties. It's all, it's a tedious process to get back in here. And all of them are just shaking their heads going, son of a bitch, Well, that's good. You should just buy some of the Manscaped, instead of riding on your skivvies. It doesn't match up. Pacific Islands are starting to get my interest. Well, if they weren't so expensive, maybe I would start to think about it. But, I think about a lot of things. And right now, traveling is not really one of my main concerns. Especially outside of the country. It's not what it used to be. Now, taking a train, you wear your mask, you wash your hands. I don't know. It would seem like it's pretty safe. But even before the COVID, I'm talking about years ago. I don't know how many years it's been now, maybe 5 years, since they started changing some of the guidelines. Now, some of the guidelines are the same as they've been in years. The amount of the retirement visa, the amount of the uh, marriage visa, all those have been the same for years. Thank you very much, Mr. Bilal. Big shout out to you, and good luck for you all day and all the night, all day and all of the night. I like the Kinks. Anyway, what is this? Australia's a nanny state. Well, you know, I don't know that the world got together to say, hey, we're all going to just lock everybody down and we're going to have full control over, you know, all of our citizens. We're going to be in power now, and you know, it's going to go unchecked. I don't think the whole world got together and did that. I don't think that China is smart enough, the Chinese government is smart enough to put together a plan and say, if we release this virus, the whole world is going to do X, Y, and Z. This is going to happen. Now, maybe I'm underestimating them and their intelligence, but I don't think so. I think it's an offshoot of what occurs when there's a pandemic. There's a lot of fear. And, you know, of course, the politicians, they're concerned about, am I going to get reelected so I can keep my cushy job? So they're going to do whatever they think is best to keep them in power, not necessarily what is best for the people. And here, I don't know if you know, supposedly there's going to be more protests. I knew that the Prime Minister would not step down. I think that was a given. He wasn't, and he isn't going to step down, at least in the next couple of days. I don't see that happening. So there's going to be more protests. And what I can say is that, listen, I woke up today, I went out on the back of the bike, come over here, and it still is a beautiful day. Not a cloud in the sky. The air is crisp. It's cool. It's very, very nice. And if I was down on the beach, this would be the perfect morning. But I'm not. I'm in Bangkok. And by the way, the air quality is horrific right now. Last I looked, it was about 163 or 157, depending on where you were in Bangkok. So it's quite unhealthy. So it pays to wear a mask anyway, which, you know, I've been talking more and more to my wife about this, about how, you know, like, man, this place, I'm sorry, you know, everybody's got to live in a city and this is what people do. But if you think outside the box a little bit, you just think, hey, do I really have to live here? And right now, well, we're kind of stuck because of the kids, you know, but not always, you know. Ooh, the baseball bat's a hard way to go. So let me go on here. If I can find something reasonable to read here from this article. The Tourism Authority of Thailand, a government body, has come up with its own way to win the trust of inbound travelers. Rebrand Southeast Asia's second largest economy as trusted tourism destination. To this end, it is backing a health certificate system the government has rolled out for hotels and restaurants as a tool to build trust. The Thai government is encouraging the public to continue wearing masks and observe social distancing as the country tries to jumpstart its tourism sector. By this week, the government will permit hotels to fully open, restaurants to serve alcohol, and organizers to host government and private seminars and meetings. This adds to the list of public places that have already opened, ranging from shopping malls and public parks to tourist attractions and beaches. Now, I don't know if you remember, but there was, months ago when this first kicked off, the only thing they did was open the grocery store. You had to go around the back to get to the grocery store. So here in Thailand, we don't have it as bad as a lot of places. We don't have as bad as in Oz, where you can only go, 5 kilometers away or whatever it is. I can go anywhere I want in Thailand. For the most part, I think there's no problem with me going anywhere. Going out of the country is a bit more problematic, and I don't even want to deal with it. And that's the thing. If you're a tourist, why do you even want to deal with all the BS to come here? Oh, because your girl is here? Listen, if you haven't been here in 8 or 9 months, chances are your girl is, if she's, you didn't meet her in a convent or something. I don't know. If she's not a truly good Thai woman, she probably ain't your woman anymore. Now maybe if you're sending money every month, she might be. I don't know, but maybe not. That might not matter. She might have a couple other knuckleheads on the line. Public health authorities are playing up the absence of no new locally transmitted cases of COVID-19 for nearly 3 weeks. Thailand has reported 3,135 infections and 59 deaths since the pandemic struck. Still, the government wants the public to wear face masks and maintain social distancing. I don't have a problem with that. All I have a problem with is the whole quarantine thing. And there's also, this morning they had an article, I think this was in the Bangkok Post, where the Prime Minister wants a coronavirus jab for all. Well, especially now. This is the other thing. Who wants to be taking a trip to get away from it all and go find myself in Thailand? Oh, I want to relax in Thailand and go on a trip. I think most people, they're struggling. Some people aren't, but I think the majority of people are probably struggling. They're not thinking, I want to go piss away, $6,000 because I got to pay $3,000 or $4,000 on a quarantine. Then I'm going to spend another couple thousand on a couple weeks there. I want to piss away $6,000. I'm going to take everything I have, that's left of my money, or maybe I'm lucky and I get some more unemployment or something like that. Oh, I'm going to take that money and I'm going to go to Thailand. I don't think, a lot of people are thinking, hey, I'm going to fly halfway around the world, or, take a 9-10 hour flight from Europe and come over here and hang out. Woo, yeah, wow, now everything is great. This is a tourist-friendly destination. Okay, a COVID-friendly destination. Obviously, I have a different perspective because I haven't been outside of the country in another country where the COVID was really had really taken off, like in Australia, the UK, the United States. So it's, I'm looking from the outside. Trump's had none to be caught in USA. Hey, that's the other thing. Listen, Stephen, I can tell you that as much as I try, it's very difficult when you have access to the internet to stay off it completely, and then once you go back on, you're going to see some of it. You're going to see the news. You're going to see what's going on. You're going to see something about protest here. You're going to see it. It's inevitable. But what I was saying is that the Prime Minister wants a coronavirus jab for all. Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha on Saturday delivered a statement on the occasion of the 2020 United Nations Day. You got to hear this. Emphasizing any COVID-19 vaccine and medication should be considered as global public goods so they can be equally accessed by everyone around the globe. I don't even know what to say about that. It's the right thing to do, to set it up to where everybody has access to it. But then what? Who gets it first? What country gets it first? The country who made the vaccine, who came up with the vaccine? Who gets it first? Who has priority? Which one is first, second, third? Oh, does it go by the number of cases or the number of deaths? Which one is it? I don't see the logic of this one. On October 24th of each year, the world celebrates the UN Day, marking the role of the international organization in addressing international challenges, promoting peace, security, human rights, and sustainable development. This marks the UN's 75th anniversary. Thailand, a UN member state, adheres to multilateralism and supports UN endeavors. The country has exchanged and shares good practices with other countries. Wait a minute, where am I here? Okay, yeah, this is it. The country has exchanged experiences and shares good practices with other countries, especially on sustainable development based on Thailand's sufficiency, economy, philosophy, and universal healthcare scheme, which has been praised by other countries as helping lead the way in equitable access to healthcare. Thailand strives to expand cooperation with the global community and promote its role in achieving the founding pillars of the UN system, General Prayut said. Adding these include peace, security, human rights, and development. The Premier also mentioned his recent participation in the 74th session of the United Nations General Assembly via teleconference. He emphasized that any COVID-19 vaccine and medication should be global public goods so they could be equally accessible by all. Now, would they make it globally accessible for the rest of the world? Maybe. But I don't see it happening. I'm sorry. I just don't see it happening. This is the insurance. Here's the insurance. Now, I bet you, just off the top of my head, I can rattle off 5 reasons why Thailand's reputation, at least in my opinion, of course, it's only my opinion, is sagging, sliding, compared to what it used to be, to where it used to be. One reason is that people have this impression, and listen, I've talked to people that I only talk to them once every 3 months, 6 months, and one of the first things they say is, it's all about money. They only want your money. I don't know if that's specific only to Thailand, but it sure the hell seems like it at times. You know, with the 10 times the pricing on the parks and that kind of thing. So the impression, at least the impression, is that here it's all about what you have and what you can give them. Yeah, and don't think too much. I was just talking to, when I was talking to the girls earlier, they were talking about, oh yeah, you know, you can't think too much here and all this other kind of stuff and that, because I had mentioned it and they said, oh yeah, you know, don't think too much. I'm like, well, what kind of mentality is that? Don't think too much. I mean, don't overthink, but you gotta think. Now, the other thing is that there's also the impression that perhaps they've stayed closed too long here and that they've ruined the tourism industry already. And they're too harsh. I mean, this is going around everywhere. Every place is closed and there are people who are saying, oh, well, you know, we got to be safe. And then there's people who, on the other side, who are saying, you know, and listen, I'm one of these people who I believe if you follow safe practices, you've got your mask on. Where's my mask? Got my mask here, all crumpled up. You follow safe practices, the chances of catching the virus are going to be much less. And then we already know, thank you very much there, Mr. Cowboy, Mr. Soy Dog. Thank you, big shout out to you, good luck for you. Khabib all the way, baby. Khabib no more, unfortunately, supposedly, and I trust Khabib's word. He promised his mother. Well, you know they say, ya kit mak. Ya kit mak na. Don't think too much. Tell that to my wife. Tell that to most, Thai women. Yeah, they say it, especially when they're younger. But when they start to get older, they realize, well, that's not the best way to go about living life. You got to think, you know. It's important to think. And then they worry, and they think all the time, and then, it's a balancing act. Anyway, what's the other reasons that I'm thinking of? Well, the whole immigration system. And I mentioned the other day how if you go to Ecuador, and I use this as an example, because it's one, and I think the Philippines has a pretty reasonable immigration scheme. I'm not sure what's going on with Cambodia now. They used to. It was pretty easy before to get just a one-year business visa. But like in Ecuador, you pay them $100 for the application, you get approved, it's another $450, you got a 2-year visa. So you stay in there 2 years for $550. That's a little more, what is that, 20-something dollars a month is what it ends up costing you. If you can't afford that for a visa, you don't really need to be there. And they only ask that you have $800 to $1,000 as a display of, you can demonstrate that as your income. If you're one person, okay, you're a single guy, you go there, that's all you have to show. So you look at that there. Now, when you look at Ecuador and when you look at Thailand, to me, which country looks like they have their act together more? Which country seems a bit more modern and together? That's the only way I know how to put it, together. In my opinion, it's a no-brainer. If you watch what goes on with the government, what goes on in Ecuador, yes, and you see the civil unrest here, and you see the fluctuation of the baht and versus the dollar, versus in Ecuador. If I had gone to Ecuador instead of Thailand, I'd probably have an Ecuadorian wife with 2 little American Ecuadorian kids. I mean, I don't know. But, it gives you something to think of as far as, isn't there a better way for their immigration to go about handling these things? And when it comes to the tourists, I mean, you want the tourists, but you don't want to put them off. You don't want to put them off and make them think like, well, they don't even want us here. And that's where we're at. Yeah. In the country of Georgia, you fly in 1 year, and then after 1 year, yeah, well, that's like, get 1 year. So that's another way. And I think they have this attitude here that maybe it's that they just want to keep it predominantly Thai and they don't want all these foreigners flooding their country, which, again, I understand, but, they let in 100 people a year from each nationality, and that's no guarantee that 100 are actually going to get in as far as permanent residents, becoming permanent residents. That there's no guarantee that's going to happen. Now, depending on the nationality. But the point is that I think that their system, in my opinion, they need to make so, if they really want to attract the best tourists and the best expats, they need to do something a little bit differently. They need to think outside the box. They need to think outside of Thailand. I don't know, maybe they just don't care. Maybe they just think, hey, we're fine, we are the way we are. And, they're proud, they're sometimes too proud. And I think that's kind of, that may hold them up a little bit as far as what's going on. The xenophobia here is, I was reading the other day a guy who wrote how, you bastard. Guinness. He keeps rubbing it in my face, sending me pictures of Guinness. Dog. I saw a message the other day from, watch this. Oh no, she's not gonna try. All right. I thought she was gonna try to get into the front door. Still got another 20 minutes before they open up. Yeah, I forgot this. There was I saw a message or a letter the other day, and the guy was talking about how, he's one of the only people he sees out in town, which I can relate to. He sits down, and there's a seat empty next to him, or a seat, two seats down from him, and there's nowhere else to sit, and at least some of the times they just will not sit next to him. Which I'm like, okay, don't sit next to me. I don't care. That's fine with me. Give me more room. It's fine. I can stretch out. I don't have to worry about banging into you or whatever. But it's true. It happens all the time. You go somewhere, you sit down, they don't want to sit next to you. This place is starting to get packed here. And I believe she is the only one out in the front working. So she's a little bit stressed out here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 people in here right now. I don't know how, and if you remember the other day when I was streaming, and I stopped and I was talking with the girl from Finland, the lady from Finland. And I said, well, the Thais are going to get desperate at some point. They're going to get extremely desperate. And she said they already are. Now, in this area, it doesn't seem like they are, maybe because most of them are working in the capacity of... Nope. She tried to get in, couldn't get in. Oh, cannot. Every time, at least 3 people try to get in, and they don't realize the mall's not open yet. There has to be a better way here with this Starbucks and getting inside, and I don't know. This is how it is everywhere, though. So anyway, getting back to this. Now, something else is that I don't know why. It happened yesterday. I was here yesterday, and I was talking to Jono on the phone. I'm sitting right here, okay? And there's not a single soul inside or outside of Starbucks. I've got my back here, and a lady sits right behind me with her back to mine while I'm on a conversation with Jono. I'm like, you know what? I got up and I walked over to another chair, and I got away from her because I'm like, does she have to sit right next to me? You got every single chair open in the whole Starbucks, and she's got to sit right next to me. Not only because of privacy issues, but what about, the COVID thing or whatever? Why do you got to sit right behind me? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. But what I was going to say is that the TAT recently announced compulsory medical insurance for foreigner visitors. Now, I thought that this was already compulsory. It says that Tourism Authority of Thailand is pleased. I like the wording of this. Is pleased to share the latest announcement from the Office of Insurance Commission that foreign visitors will be able to purchase compulsory, that's mandatory, it means you must, COVID-19 insurance policy online prior to visiting the kingdom. TAT Governor Mr. Yutasak Supason said a medical insurance policy with at least $100,000 coverage or 3.16 million baht for possible COVID-19 treatment is among the official documents required from foreign visitors planning to visit Thailand during this challenging public health crisis. TAT hopes the COVID-19 insurance protection program under the regulations of the OIC offers additional peace of mind for foreign visitors. You know what? I wish people would stop worrying about how safe I am. We locked your bank account because we thought that maybe somebody might have committed a fraudulent act because you purchased something from Thailand. Well, how many times do I have to call you and say, I'm in Thailand, I live in Thailand, you have my address. Oh yes, but safety. We're just trying to protect you. Stop protecting me. I don't want them caring about me. Stop caring about me. You want to care about me? Care about the whole mass, like for the COVID pandemic. Take care of us then. But don't give me that BS about how, it's going to give me peace of mind. Okay, I understand it's, maybe with the best intentions. But somehow, I have my doubts about that. And hopefully make it easier for inbound travelers before departing from their country of origin. Okay, I guess. The Thai General Association and Thai Life Insurance Association, plus 16 leading and non-life insurance companies in Thailand are partnering together with oversight according to regulations from the OIC to offer COVID-19 insurance protection program, the COVID-19 insurance protection program to foreign visitors. Foreign visitors will enjoy the following advantages of purchasing an OIC-endorsed medical insurance policy, which is available online at, I'm not even going to say it. I'll put the link in the description when I get home, all right? It says nothing. Like my father says, they care about the money. Of course they do. Foreign travelers will enjoy the following advantages of purchasing an OIC-endorsed medical insurance policy, which is available online. The insurance policy has been approved by the Thai government and can be used in the Thai visa application process. Coverage begins immediately upon arrival in Thailand. No need for advance payment or out-of-pocket expenses when admitted at private hospitals nationwide. Insurance coverage does not exceed $100,000 or about 3.16 million baht. That's all you gotta have. Now, I believe it's about $900. I can't remember if you said $900 a year, or I thought it was $900 every 6 months. No, I think it was $900 for 364 days. I checked mine and it was about $950. And then I wanted the repatriation and it was $1,450. In case of death, I want to think about that when I'm coming here. In case of death from COVID-19 infection, the insurance company will provide a life insurance benefit of $100,000 or 3.16 million to the beneficiary. Okay, so in other words, if I go out of the country, then I come back and I've got this insurance and I croak, it benefits my family that I die. And I love that. Oh, exactly. That's so fantastic, isn't it? I enjoy these privileges. Gaslighting has become the norm in the world. The insurance premium cost is reasonable. The process is overseen by the OIC and purchase can be done efficiently online. Well, I guess reasonable, what is reasonable? When somebody can barely pay their mortgage or can barely put food on their table for their kids. How much is reasonable for insurance? Why don't they include the foreigners in some kind of a, like a 100 baht plan or something? Anybody who comes into the country has to pay 100 baht or something like that, or 1,000 baht. Like they used to do with the departure tax or something like that. But this, you pay 1,000 baht every time you come in. Hey, we add 1,000 baht to your airline ticket, and that's what you have to do. And then they figure something out that works, some price, whether it's 1,000 or 2,000 baht. Hey, your price is going to go up 2,000 baht. Okay. But you're covered for insurance, and you're not paying, thank you very much, Benny. 1 second. All I can do is laugh. Thailand's public health infrastructure and health care facilities, as well as health care professionals, are recognized as some of the best in Asia for treating infectious diseases. Okay. You know, I'll give them that. Trying to look at both sides. The OIC endorsed COVID-19 insurance packages vary from 30 days to 1 year. The premium ranges from 1,600 baht to 4,800 baht for 30 days of coverage, from 2,800 to 8,640 baht for 60 days, from 3,840 to 12,160 for 90 days, from 7,680 to 23,040 baht for 120 days, and from 14,400 to 43,200 baht for 1 year. Okay, so anywhere from about $450 to $1,400 for a year. TAT highly recommends foreigners planning to visit Thailand to inquire at the Royal Thai Embassy / Consulate General in their home country before making any bookings. Now, I can tell you I've had about 4 people contact me about coming into the country because they went to the consulate or they went online to the consulate and it still wasn't all that clear. They still felt like they needed some kind of a response. No, you can't get in yet. Again, you gotta wait. You gotta wait another 10 minutes. There's a fly in my room. Sounds just like you, Mr. Monash. All right, so you gotta have the insurance. And of course, the Prime Minister wants to stick you with a needle. Which, you know, do you have any say in this? Well, if you want to stay in our country, you're gonna need to get a jab. When they're dying in South Korea from the vaccine. And I believe elsewhere as well. Let me get through these papers here. I got a stack of them. Tourist bubbles. All right, now here's the one. Government struggles with tech-savvy protesters. Now this is pretty, if you think about it, it's kind of funny. And I say funny facetiously. Let's just go on this one first, though. Okay, here's the insurance. Where's this thing? All right. Too many papers. Thailand economy starts to feel the pain from the unrest. It's not just from the unrest. It's from the Chinese virus. It's from the cracking down on, you know, I don't want to say cracking down, that's the wrong way to put it. The tightening of the restrictions and the tightening of the guidelines for foreign tourists and expats. Let's put it that way. Thailand's anti-government protesters are calling on citizens to withdraw their money from Siam Commercial Bank, whose top shareholder is somebody in a high place. That's all I'm going to say. The bank's shares have fallen around 6% since the demonstrations began in September. Well, I don't think I have any money in that bank anyway, so I'm okay. I have to talk to my wife because she might have some money in there, and the kids might have money in there. But I don't see them losing their 500 baht or 1,000 baht they have in the bank. Businesses that advertise on television stations seen as sympathetic to the government have also come under fire. As a result, companies including food delivery giant Food Panda have quickly pulled commercials. Okay, $823. Yeah, I mean, you know, and I believe that's just for the COVID. It's not for everything else. Which, you know, that's quite a bit. It's like you gotta pay, you know, what happened to anybody who gets it here is gonna be covered for free. Oh, even the foreigners. Well, they quickly backtracked on that. With the authorities shutting down the BTS, SkyTrain, and subways, as well as closing off roads to quell the protests, economy activity is grinding to a halt. The latest unrest adds further pressure on the government on top of the coronavirus woes that have pounded the country. Due to road closures, we are closing today at 6:30 Central Plaza Lat Pral, a shopping complex on the outskirts of Bangkok, told customers Saturday. The closing time was 3.5 hours early. Listen, that's a straight shot down from my house. Depending on the traffic, which is fairly considerable right now, it'll probably take me about a half an hour to get there by motorbike, 45 minutes to an hour by car. Now, if I was going and it was, say, 4 o'clock in the morning and there was no traffic, it would take me like 20 minutes. So they're shutting it down. Central World, one of Bangkok's largest shopping facilities, also shortened store hours Thursday and Friday. Jewelry stores there, afraid that demonstrations would turn violent, quickly stashed their products away. On days when the protests take place, our sales go down 60 to 80%, a restaurant owner said. Japanese companies in Thailand are not immune. Tokyo department store closed 4 hours early on Friday and Saturday when the intersection in the front of Mabun Krong, where it is located, was occupied by protesters. For Thailand, which relies on tourism for around 20% of its gross domestic product, luring visitors back is crucial to economic recovery. Didn't I say that? Didn't I say that once the protest started? I said, the protest is good for no one. Unfortunately, it's really not good for the country. And, you know, I'm not saying I side with the government or I side with the protesters. In fact, I'm staying out of it. I don't want to get involved. Even my wife said to me again, do you think you're going to go and photograph the protest again? And I'm like, listen, if I can't make any money off of it, if I know it's not really, if it's just a normal thing where people are taking pictures and they're submitting, I don't have a chance to get something really special, I'm not going. I'm getting too old for this bullshit. Seriously, I've been through this here 5-6 times. I don't really want to get involved with it. I certainly don't want to get in trouble for it because now that brings me to another subject, which is something that I really want to talk about. But let me go outside for a minute. Get myself a chair. Before someone takes my seat. Thank you, Mr. Minash. What is that? 5 more if you pat up Hottie on the behind. Well, good luck with that. The $5 ain't worth it, buddy. You have to pay my bail, which will probably be 30,000 baht. But let me get out of here for a second. See how many people are coming in. Okay, let's sit in a little more comfort. There you go. There you go, Gennaro. God, it stinks in here, man. Whew. Good luck for you, Mr. Monage. All right, where was I? Before I was so rudely interrupted. I don't even remember, to be honest. I'm on your seat. This seat has had, my ass prints are in this seat. I've been sitting here so long, for so many years, that my ass prints are on this, in this chair here. Let's see if I can find out where we were. Oh yeah, Japanese companies, blah, blah, blah. The government is set to relax restrictions on long-term stays by foreigners from Tuesday. Okay, well, this has already happened. Yet extended unrest could scare travelers off. It's not just the unrest, and sometimes I'm surprised that the government is not a little more in touch with what's going on with the people. And I think that they may or may not be polling foreigners or the right foreigners or something like that. I don't know. Maybe that's something I should do, is go try to talk to the TAT and find out exactly where they're coming from. That's another thing. Like, do I really want to go and do that? Not really. I don't want to stick my beak in their business. But I'd like to know. I'm curious. I am curious to know, where do they come up with this? Because, of course, people are going to be scared off. Of course, people are going to be scared off. They're not going to want to come. I can tell you, my mother has been traveling for years. She takes cruises, she flies, she's come here several times, and she doesn't want to travel. Why does she want to? Why would she travel now? First of all, she's older. And, you know, who wants to come when there's a high risk of catching some virus that, you know, listen, the percentage of people that die from it is relatively low. But people do die. We'll say that. So for older people, it's listen, guys like me who live here, we know. Listen, it's not like, you know, there's troops throughout the city and they're standing there blocking entrance to the main roads and you can't get into your neighborhood and you're threatened with being shot. That's not how it is here. You gotta, listen, you can have a coup attempt going on. You can have, you know, military in the street, and guess what? Your neighborhood, you're fine. You go out, you want to go to the mall, you want to go shopping. In most cases, 99.9% of the time, you have no worries. So, as far as the trust goes, I think that the most tourists kind of trust what's going on here with the COVID. I think it's a matter of they make it seem like you know, hey, it must be really worthwhile to come here. And I guess in some ways, for some people, it is really worth coming here. You know, like the other day, you had the guy on. Let me try to see if I can fix this. You had the guy coming on, talking about how much he loves Thailand and all this kind of stuff. I would say it's like, oh, I love my girl so much. I've never been in love so much. Oh, blah 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 blah. There she goes. There's your girl, Gennaro. That was beer. You know, oh, I'm madly in love. And then guess what? Maybe, you know, you realize she's a slob. She leaves your stuff laying all over your apartment. You know, when she wakes up in the morning, she's grouchy, or, you know, she's obsessive about something. And you realize, oh, she's not perfect. Well, coming to Thailand, moving here, living here, it's the same thing. You're having a relationship with the country and everything that's involved with the country. The people, the government, the culture. Yeah, she leaves the toilet seat up. You know, she forgets to flush when she takes a dump. I mean, you know, who knows? The point is that you realize she has hairy armpits. Hopefully you'd figure that out first. That's one of the first things you figure out. One good thing about the Thai women is that many of them, they don't even shave their legs and they don't even have hair on their legs. You know, or if they have a little bit of hair in their armpits, it's like a little tiny bit of stubble and they shave it off like once a week or something. You know, it's not like, you know, some girl from Germany she's got a full-on bush under her arms, each arm. But that's neither here nor there. It comes down to, and I think this may be an Asian thing, and from what I've seen and what I've gathered over my years here, is that, who's your wife? Oh, God. That's just nasty. You guys got to stop distracting me because my concentration is piss poor today, you know? I fell asleep at like 8 o'clock last night. I woke up at 2 in the morning. I haven't been asleep since. Where was I? Oh, God. Let's see. Stop grossing me out. Can we keep it a little bit classy in this chat, please? Really. I mean, you know, as much as I like to shock people once in a while, you know, I do have a fair amount of class. Thank you very much, Richard. Again, thank you. Appreciate that. Good luck for you in this rather odd stream. I think what it is how worthwhile is it to come into the country? That's what I was saying. It's like having a relationship. Hey, you got a beautiful girl as a wife or a girlfriend. Yeah, it's wonderful. Oh, I love looking at her. You know, I love sleeping with her. You know, I love everything about her. Oh, but then she's got a couple little things, you know. When she gets tired, she's a full-on bitch or whatever it might be. You know, if you're late, she bitches and moans at you or something like that. You find out everything is not perfect. And that's the thing about Thailand. Yes, I understand you love Thailand. Listen, I love Thailand too, but it's like a family to me. You know, I love my family. I love my wife. I love my kids. But do they ever irritate me to the point where, like, I'm like, you know, WTF? I'm trying not to say the bad words. Do they ever irritate me? Do I ever irritate them? I'm sure I do. Nicholas will flat out tell me, "Can you please leave? You're being annoying." That's what he'll say to me. What in the fuck are you looking at, big boy? Am I bothering you? Unbelievable. I'm having a little private conversation. I don't know. I think it's, yeah, definitely. And you know, I looked, and I will tell you that in October, this month, for the first time ever, this has been 100% male, 0% females. You know, I had a couple girls the other day tell me, "Oh, you look so nice. You don't look 58. You look like a nice middle-aged man. You look good." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." Then why does nobody watch my, no women watch my live stream? Because my mother stopped watching. So that was the 0.3% that used to watch. Oh, man. It's a misogynistic culture, I hate to tell you. It's changing, though, and it will change. Flies love soy sauce. I got soy sauce at the house. Fortunately, we have no flies. I got dark soy sauce, light soy sauce, oyster sauce, fish sauce, sauce prick. We got it all. Anyway, getting back to what I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted again and distracted. You know, there was a time when you came here, and like when I first came here, I still remember going down the river. I'm trying to think what it was. It was at the Mamping or something. Whatever it was. Up there in Chiang Rai, and I was going up into the mountains, and I went into the little opium village and all that kind of stuff where, you know, I spent the night there with a bunch of, 4 or 5 other people. Rode on an elephant to get up there. Had to go through the jungle and all this kind of stuff. I still remember that. I still remember how I was spending like 300 baht for a decent hotel. And I was actually thinking, one thing that got me thinking about living in Thailand was, I'm going down the river and I'm thinking to myself, hey, it's relatively inexpensive, and, why not give it a go here? So that's what I did. But had it not been for that welcoming nature of the Thais, and little did I know that, listen, there's a book out there by Christopher Moore, a very prolific Thailand writer, as I will be one day, called The Killing Smile. And basically the whole premise of using that phrase Well, that's, I don't know. I don't know. I got no idea, Probably nothing. Anyway, let's not worry about that. The killing smile. And that is because, when a Thai smiles at you, in case you don't know this already, and you should, a lot of times they smile because they don't know anything else to do. They don't know, should they smile? Should they laugh? Should they get pissed off? What should they do? They're not sure. And so that's why they do that. Must not have liked his chair or his position there. I don't know. Doesn't matter to me. Whatever. One thing I still don't get to this day is those cosmetics that they sell in the front, where they have these girls and guys like that standing out in the front, pushing the cosmetics on old ladies, trying to rub it on their skin to show them how wonderful the cosmetics are. And, it's the sea salt, the cosmetics or something like that. That's what they do. That's what they're all doing. How many times is this guy gonna change his seat? He's trying to get the perfect spot or something. I don't know. I got no idea what it is. Maybe he just wants peace and quiet. He doesn't want to listen to me. I don't blame him. Anyway, what I was saying is that there was a very welcoming nature, and there are still some. I run into a lot of Thais here that are very welcoming and very accommodating and very, very nice to me, and that's what makes it so hard. I believe that the majority of Thais are very nice people, and you deal with them and you're decent to them, they're decent to you. That really doesn't negate the fact that when it comes down to you or them, and this is, for a lot of people, this is no different in the United States, although obviously there are some people who think you should just let anybody walk into the country. For whatever reason. But there are some people here who, they would prefer if foreigners were gone. You don't run into them a lot, and they don't get nasty with you and jump all over you here. Well, I didn't like how he looked at me, but I don't want to make a problem. It's what's the, it could just be some guy who had a bad day. You know what I mean? So. I've been there before. I've come into Starbucks sometimes and I've been in a really bad mood for whatever reason. And the baristas have looked at me and just went, are you okay today? I'm fine. I'm fine. Really? You good? Yeah, I'm tired. Leave me alone, That's about how I can be. So, whatever. Let's just move on from there. They still are welcoming in many ways, but I'm sorry, it's my opinion now, and I'm very hesitant to speak out against what's going on here in as far as the government and the way that the country is changing. We'll see after the COVID. We get through the COVID, if we get through it, we'll see a little bit more. We should have a better idea, but xenophobic, okay, yes. Do the Thais want to do without foreigners here? They want foreign investment. And the thing is just a little while ago, they were talking about how we want the well-heeled tourists to come here. We don't want the poor backpacker to come through. But I dare say that the backpacker might be the guy who, that's a bit short-sighted in itself. And listen, I don't have anything against backpackers because I backpack sometimes. But I'm against the stinky kind of backpacker that wants to live off of, $200 a month, and they complain when they can't, and then they're trying to stay month after month on a tourist visa, and they have basically nothing. I'm not particularly fond of that, but when they say that they're going to boot out and they're going to keep the backpackers out, the lower end tourists out, I personally think they're doing a disservice to themselves, because when you think about it, the backpackers tend to be the younger people. They got lots of friends. They're in university. They're wherever, and so when they go back to school, they tell their friends, and their friends might go and tell their friends. They might tell their friends, So the word of mouth. And they may, these backpackers, they're young. They might go back to Thailand 4 or 5 times in their lives. They might bring their wife and their kids to the country if they're treated well. Whereas you're getting the more well-heeled people, they tend to be older. Sure, they might come back a couple of times, or they might die because they're older. Or they might say, hey, now, listen, the only reason that my mother and sister have come here is because of me and the kids, the family. That's it. That's the only reason. If it wasn't for us, they've been here. They're not going to come back. They don't have a reason to come back. Not a barista there, Gennaro. So I think he was waiting for his girl. Maybe he's worried he's going to get stood up, hey, it's what I'm saying, you never know. It could be something that you don't even expect, I didn't expect it at all. Hey, listen, before I go on, do me a favor. Remember to click thumbs up if you would. Also, if you're a current subscriber, thank you for joining me. If you're not, please click subscribe, join up with the website, with the Patreon, with the YouTube. There's a little join button down below. What else? Look down below. Thank you to the people who bought the shirts. I don't know if it was yesterday. I guess yesterday or day before yesterday. Thank you to the people who bought the shirts. Appreciate that. Always appreciate the shirts and all the books. They help me keep going. Those books have kept me going for years now, which is fantastic. Of course, passive income, baby. That's what it's all about. There you go, Gennaro. That one was for you. Did they have somebody else here now? Well, I don't doubt that. I do believe that, first and foremost, the Thais, it seems to me, just my opinion, of course, the Asians are easier for them to deal with, because there are far more similarities. And right now, obviously, United States, Europe, they have their share of problems with the COVID. Westerners, many Westerners. There is the influence of China. And that's the big thing. That's the one thing here that worries me. And I'm wondering what kind of influence, who knows what kind of influence they have. Maybe they have none, but, somehow I doubt that. I do believe they have some kind of influence. And that's going to affect this place. It's going to change the dynamic of who is here, what the place is like. And I can tell you that I've spoken to many Thais in the tourist industry and how and what they think about Chinese tourists. And either they say, hey, you know, we don't have to do all that much because they got somebody running their tour or whatever, or they're like, they hate them. They hate them because they don't particularly like their filthiness. Not that they're all that way, but this is what I've been told. So, you know, my anecdotal evidence has spanned over years. So I try not to be too extreme on any one count, but you know, I said it before, this place is changing, and I've said it many times now, that I thought it was going to change more towards a Singaporean model, which to me, okay, business-wise, yeah, okay, great. Maybe this place is going to rise up, and it's going to be this big powerhouse, and it's going to look completely different. You know, the landscape is going to be different, physically and otherwise. But now, it just seems to me like it's going in a bit more extreme direction, and maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? That's what time is gonna be good for, because we'll get to figure it out and see for ourselves what happens. And I'm anxious to see, you know, what happens with all the people who have been here for 20, 30, 40 years. I know one guy, I forget how long he's been here now. His name's Bob. He's been here since like 1969, so 51 years. And he barely knew anything about, he's always been on a marriage visa. And I think now he's on a retirement visa for whatever reason. And he was driving me nuts because he kept saying, they told me I need to have pad san baat. I need to have pad san baat. I'm like, dude, I'm an American. You don't need to tell me, you don't need to speak in Thai. And if you're gonna speak in Thai, speak in Thai. Don't speak, you know, I need to have pad san baat. How about, you know, I need to have 800,000 baht. ต้องการ8 แสนบาท ฉันต้องการ8 แสนบาท. Something like that, you know. He drove me nuts for a couple of days saying that over and over again. I'm like, okay, I get it. He got squared away. But, you know, what about guys like that? What's going to happen? What's going to happen if the retirement and the tourist visas are not enough and they just really start making it harder? I can't see him doing that, but you never know. I don't know what the purpose of it. I don't know what the whole purpose of everything here is now. I don't know, you know. So that's where we're at. Let me see if I got anything else here that I want to talk about. Otherwise, all these papers are going in the garbage. Actually, I'm not going to put them in the garbage. I'll use them. All right, we already got about the Japanese. Oh. In yet another round of turmoil for the Thai economy, according to a retail organization in the shopping district of Ratchaprasong, during the 2010 protests, the district lost 174 million baht, that's 5.6 million at the current rates, in a single day. Some analysts expect the Thai economy to suffer a bigger decline this year than 1998 during the currency crisis when the GDP sank 7.6%. Okay, I believe all that. Okay, we got the insurance. Now, you know, what's the matter with some of these? I don't know if, you know, if Thailand or several other countries were to adapt some of the guidelines for entering the country that some other countries have, I don't know why they don't consider it. Why do they don't look around and take, why they don't take the best from all over the world, the best ideas for getting in and out of the country, and they use those in their own country. Why don't they try to do that? It seems so simple. Oh, but it won't work here. You know. Now, one thing that I was going to talk about a little while ago, and I just started to get into it, and it's been told to me by several people, and you know, I didn't really think of this, but there is a wide gap between, let's say, the college protesters, and that's a complete non sequitur. Unbelievable. There is a gap, a large gap between the protesters and the government. And you know where that gap is? Not just financially. I'm not sure about that. But what I am sure about is there is a gap in the technical ability, the tech savviness. And this has been told to me by several people, and I started thinking about it, and I started thinking about my kids. And I'm telling you, like, Alex is dialed in because he's in university, and they talk about these things. He's pretty dialed in. Nicholas, not quite as much, not yet. But, you know, they know what's going on. And I can tell you that just from between myself and them, the difference in tech is, and I consider myself to be pretty up on things. They know far more than I do. Now, imagine some guy who is a Thai who's 70 years old and he's a senator, or 80 years old, he's some senator. He emails, but he doesn't really use that thing called the intranet, or whatever you want to call it, the internet. The online thing. He doesn't really use that. Well, so guess what the difference is? There's a huge difference, and this is what has been enabling some of the protesters. So I'm going to read a little bit of what they say. The government is struggling to deal with the tech-savvy youth-led demonstrators who make the most of information and communication technologies and social media platforms as a major tool in their anti-government campaign, academics and former protest leaders said. They also raised concern about possible confrontations between anti-government protesters and pro-monarchy groups who are coming out to counter their demands for reform of the monarchy. Now, I have to say, last night, late yesterday afternoon, early evening, 6 o'clock, there were a number of people standing in front of the mall singing the Thai national anthem. They weren't just standing there, they were actually singing in mass. Now, generally what that means is those people are in support of the government and their country. And so there are people coming out, even here, and I said the other day, across the street, there were people, there's maybe 200-300 people that were pro-monarchy, yellow shirts, and same with over at Ramkamang. So there are people everywhere. They know what's going on. There are people what's the word I'm looking for? Not smidgens. What's the word I'm looking for? They're scattered throughout various areas. And some are just, they're just protesters. Some are pro-monarchy. And sometimes you have them both. And that's where the problems start to occur, and you have to wonder what's going to happen next, because that is going to happen more and more. And this country doesn't need any of this. Oh God. This is because several co-leaders of the group were arrested and faced multiple charges, leaving the movement leaderless. Unspoken words. Wait a minute. The demonstrations led by Kana Ratsadon People's Group are unique and different from previous ones in that in that social media platforms have been used as a tool to mobilize protesters in a short time, which can pile up protests on the government despite the fact there are no visible protest leaders controlling them. Well, this is exactly like in Hong Kong. Exactly. This is because several co-leaders of the group were arrested and faced multiple charges, leaving the movement leaderless. Unspoken words. Prayut lifts state of emergency. Clear stand. Protesters are pressing for hard demands, including a charter rewrite, monarchy reform, and the resignation of Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha, which that's not going to happen. At least they passed the deadline, so there should be more protests if they follow what they're going to say. They said if he doesn't resign, there's going to be more protests. So I dare say there are going to be more protests today, tomorrow, and in coming days until somehow this gets ironed out. Travel and learn. What are you talking about? We're not talking about America. You're like it's another non sequitur, dude. You're completely off the subject. Let's see here. Give you a little look around here. This is Thailand. This is not America. What you thinking? Why you talking about America? Now we not talking about America politics. Why do I need? Yeah, but why do I need you to tell me that? You think that I don't have any idea what's going on, dude? I mean, I talk to like 20 people a day in the United States. I get messages from people all the time. And, you know, I see the news. As much as I don't want to watch it, I still see it. Anyway, I was trying to give a little something to Gennaro, throw him a little bone there, but anyway, let me go on. Tensions have mounted as yellow-clad groups have appeared in Bangkok and several provinces to voice opposition to the call for monarchy reform, raising concerns about possible clashes. Protesters are inspired by online games. I don't know how. Mana Trilaya Piwat, deputy rector of the University of the Thai Chamber of Commerce, told the Bangkok Post that those who take part in the anti-government demonstrations are largely digital natives who have grown up in the digital age and have the ability to use information and communication technologies and have their own technical jargon and secret codes to communicate with each other. Doesn't surprise me. Next page. It is similar to when young people take part in a school sport day activity. School sport day activities are when they attend concerts, Mr. Mana said. Gennaro, don't crack me up, man. Well, I was trying, but, you know, there's a little bit of distance. You know, I do what I can for you without being, you know, completely perverted. When they gather for demonstrations or disperse, they can communicate with each other and vote via social media. It is a two-way communication which appeals to this generation, he said. He said any demonstration must always have leaders, though it depends on what form they take. Exactly. You know, in Hong Kong they say they don't have leaders, but they do. But when it comes to the actual protest, whatever, they have an organizer or organizers, and then the people who are directing everything tend to be a little more silent or discreet, so it's not always known who's who. The demonstrations see many different co-leaders making a wide range of demands. No, compared to past demonstrations which were managed by a single group of protest leaders. When they were arrested by authorities, this spelled trouble for their movement, Mr. Mana said. I travel and learn. I really believe that most people, they understand what CNN is, and they understand the difference. People who have half a brain understand that the media is the media, and they have an agenda, whether it's CNN or Fox or the BBC or Reuters or whoever else. And the first agenda is making money, but that's not what we're talking about here, really. So that's why I made my comment. And, I think it's a good idea. If you really want to get into that kind of thing, then start your own channel, and you already have a channel. You already have something on the channel, Yeah, exactly. That's the fair way to do it. And actually, Richard, it's funny you say that because, somebody was telling me that that's something that I need to think about. That, like the people who are just, they're just coming in and shooting the breeze and chatting about anything. Well, why should I talk to them about this kind of stuff? It's not what the subject is. Let me continue. But of course, that makes me a prick. And you know what? I really don't care. Because if that's what I am, that's what I am. I am what I am. That's what Popeye said. Where are we here? However, the anti-government movement is similar to online games because when a group of protest leaders were arrested, another group emerged to carry on, and they are linked by using social media. Now, imagine if they shut off the internet here. Don't think it can't happen, because it can. However, the current anti-government movement is similar to okay, and they're linked. Their war rooms are unconventional. It's similar to playing online games. Who knows? At this point, I don't care. You get to a point where it's like, dude, shut up already. You're on a timeout. Shut up. You're disruptive. I got a message. I got to tell you guys. If you remember the other day, before I go on with this, now I'm disrupted again. But at least I have my paper to refer to, so I'm not going to be, left to contemplate what I was trying to say. When I went to Kanchanaburi the other day, you may remember that I blew up on some guy and banned him because he was telling us, do you know where you are? You're right on the border of Myanmar. And I told him, dude, I've already gone into this. I've already said this several times. People here are aware of where, Kanchanaburi is and where this road leads. And I've mentioned it several times. And he got all pissy with me. Now, he sent me an email. I guess yesterday. He sent me an email. And what happened was he got pissed off. He used my video, put it up on his channel, okay? And he whined about me banning him. Thank you very much, Richard. Appreciate it. He bitched and moaned for I don't know how many minutes, 15 minutes or something, 13 minutes, something like that, about me banning him and how he went on there and he was such a nice guy to me and all I did was jump on him. Yeah, okay. Listen, I don't want to hear your whining. So anyway, he writes me. I filed a copyright complaint against him. He's using my video without my permission. You're not allowed to use any content without the owner's permission. It may not seem like much. It might not seem like it's all that valuable, but it's my property. You don't steal the property. Okay, it's the same thing that goes with the music and all that other kind of stuff. You don't use other people's music and steal it unless you have the rights to it. So I filed a copyright complaint and they took his video down. So he wrote me back, will you please remove the copyright claim? No, I won't. And also, can you, really, you guys gotta be joking. Can you tell me, he said, you abused me. You abused me on your chat just because I came in and chatted. Okay, really, don't be a pussy. Don't be a pussy, okay? I don't care. They're going to age restrict my video. They're going to music restrict my video. They're going to do all these things. Thank you very much. But I do have some wonderful Super Chat and Patreon and PayPal and membership people that really help me out. So I really appreciate it. Thank you, Dowlo. And so then what's so funny is that immediately after I ban the guy, somebody else comes on and goes, oh, you're such a dick. Okay, I'm a dick. Yeah, listen, I don't care. I'm a dick. Yeah, okay. If that makes me a dick, fine. I can't change how you think, and I'm not going to. But he also wrote me, this guy wrote me and said, he sent me a second email and said, can you please tell me how I can use your video if I trim it, if I change the color, if I do this, if I do that? I'm like, are you kidding me? What are you, 10 years old? You're like some teenager who hasn't experienced YouTube yet? You have no idea? You can't use my video. It's simple. And YouTube now has a thing where I get a notice anytime somebody puts up video or audio even from a channel. The person who has the content gets a notice through YouTube. So props to them. It's a matching system. They find some of your content and well, I did block him. I blocked him. I didn't respond and I blocked him. Now I'm responding, on the air here, but that's because I feel like the person's either trolling me or he's really just, why can't I put up your video where you're bitching at me? Because I bitched at you for a reason. If you want your own channel, get your own channel. I worked hard just to get to where I am. So when some guy like this Travel and Learn, the last time he was on, he was a bit of a cunt. And yes, I'm using the C word. Or wait a minute, you can spell it with a K if it makes you feel any better. What's the new word now? Like, Jane or whatever it is. I forget the chick's name they use. If you're a Vicky or whatever, Anyway, let me go on. Karen, excuse me. Leave it to you to know, Dre. I figured you would be sharp like that. Yeah, a Karen. It's a Karen. She's a Karen. I used K, like K for cunt, because I wanted to be just like Karen. So, don't feel slighted, Karen. No Karen-ness and cuntiness allowed. That's why this channel is 100% men and it's 0% women. Because you know what? You do have the right to say what you want. At least you have a fair amount of freedom to say what you want on this channel. Now, I may not make money from YouTube. And, sometimes that's all right. Because sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. And it's not like, listen, if I was losing a couple $1,000,000 every time I did something like this, or I said something like this, that would be a little bit different story. But if I lose like $2.20, it doesn't really bother me that much. Or 48 cents or something like that from the advertising. You don't want to advertise with me? What am I going to do? At this point. Let's get back on topic here. You don't want to know. Bunyu Korporn Pasat, a lecturer in communication arts at Creek University's Faculty of Liberal Arts, said he did not believe the demonstrations are leaderless, saying that those who are perceived to be protest leaders may appear on the stage to work the crowds, though actual leaders may pull strings behind the scenes. Okay. Some protest leaders may mingle secretly with other rank-and-file protesters and manage the crowds and technologies rather than showing themselves as in past protests. The government may be underestimating the protesters and use conventional methods to deal with them. Now, I don't doubt that. The government might be behind, listen, look at, all you have to do is look at the congressional hearings between Mark Zuckerberg and these senators and congressmen, and listen to how naive they are when they talk to him. And granted, he knows far more about their system than probably anybody in the place, I would think, or at least most of the people in his company. But when it comes to technology, you can tell that those old men and old women in Congress, they're clueless. You're like, oh, I contacted my granddaughter for the first time. It was so wonderful. Oh yeah, that's really gonna hold up. They're pretty sharp. Sharp as a tack, that old guy. And you know, listen, nothing about being old or being not tech savvy, but like in this day and age, you better be tech savvy. You better know what's going on. So the fact that they're talking about this here, I guess they don't have enough. I mean, think about it. You got protesters, and you got, let's say you got 30,000 protesters, and 2,000 of them, or 1,500 of them, right? 5% of them. 5% of them, they really got their act together, and they are committed. You got 1,500 people. How many people? Listen, you go into McDonald's. Half the time, the girl doesn't know how to like add extra cheese on the cash register. You go into immigration, you know, or like you're walking through the airport in immigration, and they may have to call over their boss because they don't know how to unlock the system. Now, maybe that just has to do with procedure or something like that, not their knowledge, but you get the point. And I'll tell you what, there are times when I'm like, I think I know a fair amount to get myself around, but I don't really want to know anymore. I know enough already to know I don't need this shit. I don't need all this social media and all this other stuff. I don't really need it. I don't really want it. Well, guess what? You think some guy who's 75 years old and he's got to worry about his government position and his wife and his 4 kids and them all looking good so he doesn't lose his position, and what's going to happen? He's got to go to a Senate hearing, or you think they really care about all this stuff? Some of them do. Donald Trump does. But then, he's an anomaly. All right, let me go on here. Technologies are changing so fast that the government cannot catch up. Boom, there it is. And it's not just the Thai government. Like I said, I was talking about the Americans. It's funny. Though the government has technological resources at its disposal, its personnel may not be as good as the new generation. May not be? I don't think it's may not be. I think it isn't. All right, let me do something here. All right, he's gone. We get rid of that guy for good. The guys who are playing, Nintendo 25 years ago, or whenever it first came out, those are the guys who you want in your corner right now. What is that? Oh, it's a vacuum cleaner. All right, let me go on here. Asawin Netpokel, a lecturer in communication and innovation at the National Institute of Development Administration, NIDA, says the new generation spends life with the internet so much they are skillful at communication on online platforms. Well, I got to tell you that even my kids, who do not spend a whole lot of time on social media at all, if you ask them how to get around or where to find this or that, or what is the most popular thing on YouTube, or a popular YouTuber for kids or something like that, and even new music, especially Nicholas, because he likes listening to new music, boom, takes them 30 seconds and they know what's going on. Many protesters are young students who have a similar mindset, making it easier for them to relate to each other with the help of social networks. Texas chicken is pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. And it's relatively inexpensive. And they do have a great strawberry shortcake rather. However, I will say that I have been trying to cut out a lot of the meat that I'm eating, any fried meat. And I'm trying to stick with vegetables and fruit. And, get myself a little healthier again. And not necessarily because of weight. Although weight's and always, something, I can always be, I can always be skinnier and richer. So I'll take being skinnier, but I'm trying not to eat that kind of food. I'm trying to eat salads and soups, and like yesterday we had we had a soup, and my wife put pork in it, and I was like, why are you putting pork in it? I didn't want pork, I wanted fish. And I said, all right, I'll eat the pork, because it was boiled. It was suki. We had suki. So I'm not eating at Burger King or any of these other kind of joints, and I haven't been for a few days, and I'm off the soda, I'm off all that stuff. So, and the reason, like I said, is not necessarily about weight, it's about my bile duct and my gallbladder, because I haven't been feeling real good. And so I figure, come on, you don't know what suki is? And so now I do feel better after a couple days. But anyway, let me finish what I'm doing here. Where am I at here? Okay. Social media is a tool. Jatiporn Pompan, chairman of the Red Shirt United Front for Democracy Against Dictatorship, said demonstrators have learned to adapt their game plan by using social media as a tool and stay one step ahead of the government. Despite having better resources at its disposal, the government's information operations are less effective than those of the demonstrators. Mr. Jatiporn said, adding the government can no longer afford to use conventional methods to deal with them. He said the government made the first wrong move by declaring a state of emergency to tackle anti-government protests in Bangkok, which only fueled resistance among protesters, even though the state of emergency was lifted on Thursday to ease tensions. I think I'm going to agree with that too. All it did is piss them off. Mr. Jatiporn suggested one solution is to push through a charter rewrite when Parliament opens for a special session to discuss the matter tomorrow and Tuesday. But the best way around the problem is for General Prayut to resign, Mr. Jatiporn said, adding that 6 years in power should be enough for General Prayut. Now is the time for the Prime Minister to call it quits so he can step down and exit gracefully. Wow, I didn't see this in the article here. Protesters suffer if rallies drag on. And of course the economy suffers, which also deters tourists from coming into the country because they see all the turmoil. And I can tell you that older people with families are worried about their families, and they're worried about coming over here. And I remember there was a protest at one time, and my mother was scheduled to come over here with my sister and her kids, and they actually put it off until later because of that. So, you know, it's not only them. There's many people that think like this. They're like, what do I need to go there now for? I'm not going there in the middle of a protest. The youth-led protests are a new normal political science. This fly's driving me nuts. With the use of digital technology to make their political statements and push for their demands. This has both advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is that if the technology is used constructively, this will become a potent force in creating direct democracy. Well, again, I'm going to say that it will be a factor, at least in the future. It's going to be a factor. It can't help it. Unless all these social media platforms go away, politics are changed forever, and they're going to remain changed forever, at least in my lifetime. Tip of the ears behind you is showing the tip right in the middle of your head. Oh yeah, I see that. Looks like I got a horn in the middle of my head. There you go, Gennaro. Any property damage? I think there's just been just a tiny little bit. I remember seeing something about it, but not much at all. Nothing like in Hong Kong, nothing to really worry about. But they do expect it. Some people expect it to get worse. So we'll see what happens with that. But let me go on here. Okay, this was the advantage. As for the protesters, they can use the technology well enough to create headaches for the government during the early stages of the rallies, forcing the government to adjust its stance against them. However, protesters may also face other opponent groups which also use digital platforms to counter them, as both sides will launch information operations against each other, and it is hard to distinguish between true and false information. It's information wars. It's a war between both factions. and the government. You know, it's nothing like I've ever seen in my life. I don't even know what to say about it. It's not only here. I mean, it happened in Libya. It happened in, good morning. It happened in Libya. It happens in the United States all the time. It's happened in Ukraine. It's happened in many places, and it's just going to continue until something happens. And maybe look at what China's doing. They lock it all down, man. I mean, if they don't want the government, if they don't want the citizens doing something online, they change the way that things are done online, and they use the firewall. And people can get around that sometimes, but there's a risk. Mr. Sorias, this is it. Mr. Sorias, I said a weakness in these digital platforms is that they become a weapon rather than serving as a forum for discussion. Agreed. Whatever happened to just discussing things and, not getting carried away to the point where you're going to weaponize the words and you're going to go to war with each other? What happened to that? I mean, why is it we can't discuss things civilly and work something out? Guess what? We've already seen that in the Senate and in the House. You see what's happening. You get two stubborn people, and they want things to be the way they want it to be, and they don't change. I don't know how it is. The flash-style mob rarely sees protests coming together for a brief period and dispersing quickly, prompting demonstrators to wonder whether they will achieve victory, Mr. Suryasai said. Similar to Hong Kong, as the protests drag on with no victory in sight, protesters, most of whom are young students, will become bored as they feel like they are having no fun. If that's what he thinks, I question that. Because I don't think it's only about having fun. I don't think it's, hey, I'm not having fun out here protesting, so I don't want to continue. I'd say a small portion of might be like thinking that way, but I think that's underestimating them. As a result, pressure will shift back onto the protesters instead, Mr. Suryasai said, adding that conflict may also arise among protesters as their patience is wearing thin as the conflict drags on. Now that definitely, I think there's a weariness of people in general, of human beings right now. Around the world, there is an overall weariness. They're tired of the COVID, they're tired of all the turmoil politically around the world, they're tired of wars, that people are just tired, man. They just are sick of this stuff. Without leaders taking charge, the protests will also run the risk of getting out of hand as people could lose their cool, he said. He suggested that protesters present clear demands to the government and find representatives to sit down for talks with the government. Conflicts can be resolved through dialogue, he said. Mr. Suryasai said he believed the government is engaging in a test of patience among the demonstrators. Well, listen, conflict can be resolved through dialogue. That is, if both parties are willing to compromise. And if you want somebody out of power and he doesn't want to leave, well, where's the compromise in that? When maybe you say to him, okay, you have 6 months, but then after another 6 months, what if he doesn't want to leave then? So I don't know what to, how do you get around that? I think that's the age-old question. Without leaders taking shares, okay, blah, 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 blah. Whichever side that maintains their composure will win. But those who lose their calm and resort to violence will lose, Mr. Suryasai said, adding that this is an approach being used by the government to deal with demonstrators. The question is who will succeed. However, it is unlikely that another coup will take place as those in power have learnt lessons from the past, he said. I don't know. Listen, some of the things he said I agree with, and some of the things I don't agree with. And, I always say this. This is not my country. It's not my place to speak about things publicly that I'm not allowed to speak about. It's also, it's basically just a debate for the sake of debating or discussing what's going on. However, I do not buy into, and Jono was even talking about this, and, Jono's a pretty mellow guy. And believe it or not, I am as well, most of the time. But apparently, he heard somebody saying something about how, well, if you don't like it, you should just leave. And that mentality has been here for a long time. If you don't like the way Thailand is, just leave. Okay, so what? You're not allowed to disagree or debate or discuss what's going on. You're only allowed to agree, and that's it. You can't disagree with anything. I mean, where is that stated? Who makes that rule? I knew you'd like that, which is why I, turned the camera around for you. Yeah, you're only allowed to say, might been right, might been right, might been right, might been right, might been right. For the most part, I agree, you shouldn't be complaining left and right. And actually, that's what I forgot to do. I had some good little articles from the Bangkok Post the other day that I copied, and I wanted to read from them. They were just short little clips, and I forgot to print them out this morning, but they were very telling. But one of them was, if you don't like it, go home. That was the comment in the editorial, or whatever that little section is in the Bangkok Post. Let me see here. Let me see if I can find something here, because they always have it, and it was really good. But they were talking about how, well, if you don't like it, just go home. Okay, so what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to like everything and just say, oh, and there's no problem, no problem. And then, when the troops come in, or when the protesters start shooting, or whatever it is, and some kid gets shot, then what are you going to tell his family? Oh, get real, man. You're allowed to disagree. You're not allowed to cause major issues, nor should you try to, simply for the sake of getting something you want. It needs to be ironed out and worked out in society. I think that's the best thing to do. And I do agree, less violence is better for both sides. However, sometimes, and I've seen this, and it didn't do any good in Hong Kong, really, but violence is the only way to counteract what's going on sometimes. And I certainly don't think that that's the best method here of approaching this situation. I think that's going to cause so many problems here in so many different ways. I really don't want to see that. I hope it doesn't come down to that. Okay, yeah, when protesters wear duffel coats, let me just take a quick look at these. Okay, I never took part in the march, but a former colleague and good friend at the Bangkok Post was a regular. He even succeeded in getting arrested in Whitehall with noted philosopher Bertrand Russell for taking part in an anti-bomb sit-down protest. My friend was carted off to a chaotic Bow Street magistrates court where there were large crowds prompted by the presence of Russell. My colleague was subsequently fined 5 shillings, but he refused to pay on moral grounds, and amidst all the mayhem, they eventually let him go. He found the marches a positive experience and observed this week. It's hard to believe that it was 60 years ago. All right, this is completely different. Hunger Games. I took part in an ill-advised protest when I was about 8 years old. My class staged a sit-in on our playground to complain about the quality of school dinners. Didn't last long. About 5 minutes after it started, we were getting hungry, and we were soon sprinting for the dining hall, tucking into our lunchtime feasts. Okay, let me see here, because this is all... Okay, now they're talking about the economy. It's all just so untied. Economy, not rallies, should worry the government. By Chachai Parasuk. Is one of the best op-eds in a long time. I agree the economy is of paramount importance and its prospects are not good at all. However, there is a second component which seems to be equally important in answering the question concerning timing of the demonstrations. Why now? Good point. Why now? Because now is probably the right time because of the virus. That's what I would say. Feelings and emotions play a pivotal role in Thai society. Certain developments affecting the higher institutions of justice, government, and culture have hurt the hearts of many people. They now sense deeply that their leaders do not love them. That's lovely. Where was I? You guys distract me with all this. It's not the girl that distracts me, it's you. A leader who never seems happy, who appears to enjoy berating and punishing others, who fail to cherish the happiness of others, and who clings to money and status cannot be tolerated easily by Thais. These qualities are not acceptable in Thai culture, and it would appear the limit of forgiveness has been exceeded. The people are not to blame. They deserve praise for expressing their frustrations with such decorum. Michael Setter. Definitely not a 9, buddy. I hate to say. Maybe for you. All right, let me see here. All right, I like this one. I agree with the writer's implication that the student-led demonstrations against the government are more than just political in nature. Just as stated, I gotta put my glasses on. I don't dispute that. I just dispute the ranking. I agree with the writer's implication that the student-led demonstrations against the government are more than just political in nature. Just as I stated in an unpublished letter, which I sent to your publication, just as the Black Lives Matter protests were in part of an expression of the frustrations that young Americans felt living in a society ravaged by the effects of COVID-19, so too are the current demonstrations in the country an expression of the frustrations young Thais feel in being denied any meaningful economic or employment opportunities now. Marx basically cautioned almost 200 years ago that the economy is the most important factor in people's lives and that humans will be unhappy if the economy is not functioning properly. Current events in the world seem to be supporting such a thesis. Well, it certainly does. Waking up to reality. What became of all those Bangkok Post letter writers who were silly enough to believe that 2014 coup would transform society? What I recall are a handful of scriveners who pointed out that nightly bombings, shut up, street murders and mass demonstrations made it impossible for the Yingluck Shinawatra's failed government to continue. Eric is right to point out that the coups don't solve problems. They merely put a band-aid dressing on a serious wound. The Thais call it Yasaman Prachamban. Never heard that. Equally, the idea the Prime Minister now should promptly resign to mysteriously introduce a new dawn of freedom strikes me as absurdly naive. A new putsch would be the most likely outcome. Barry Kenyon. Okay. Listen, it's kind of like if you got problems back in the United States and you decide, I can't take my problems here. I can't handle it. I got to get out of here. And you come to Thailand, guess what? You're going to have a new set of problems. It's the same thing. When have any of the coups, coup attempts, protests, when have they really done anything? What are you saying, blocked? What's blocked? She's blocked? Or you're blocked? You blocked yourself? Or you blocked your finger going in her nose? In any event, it's gross and we don't need to talk about it. Nothing worse than boogers and poo. We don't need to discuss these subjects on my chat anymore. We're trying to have an elevated conversation. Okay? That's what we're trying to do here. Let's elevate it. Let's be a little classier. A little more high-so. A little less low-so. I think it's time to go, man. I don't want to know about you getting elevated or raised or whatever it might be. There, here you go. Let's, Janara, there you go. Let me see if I can get her to send a little wave. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, sure you are. She's back there working hard. These two girls have been here a long time. A lot of the girls that come here and work, they're here and gone, you know. 6 months, boom, they're gone. A year, they're gone. You know, that's how it works. So anyway, I was thinking, you know, of streaming, like, because everybody's at home, pretty much. It seems like nobody's working anymore. Everybody's able to follow the streams. What difference regarding their anti-government, their issues of Senate was leveraged. That's why I keep out of it. I try to keep out of the politics. But when it comes to seeing the coups around the protests, rather, around the area, I am mainly concerned. I was thinking about this morning. My main concern is, there's a couple. The first are the immediate concerns. Where am I going? Are the members of my family going today? Are they going to be anywhere around the protest so that if anything kicks off, they might be in danger? That's my first thought. The next thought is this going to have long-term implications for me and my family? After that, is this going to have an implication for foreigners that are staying here? And might we be booted out of the country en masse? I've never been at that point here. And I kind of doubt it, but you never know. So my first two concerns are my main concerns when it comes to the protest. Everything else that happens, hey, listen, I understand they're kids. And one thing that one of my buddies there in Hong Kong said to me is, the reason that the young people tend to protest is because they have very little to lose. They're not at the point where they're going to lose their jobs, their families. Some will, but they're not going to lose their jobs, their families, you know, that they've worked for years and years to get. They have nothing to lose, and they're young enough. They have the energy and the spirit and the lack of experience to jump in head first. Whereas people who are a little bit older are more apt to say, you know, let's see what happens. Yeah, they have plenty of time. You know, that's the other thing. It's just like the tourists. The young tourists, I think that the Thai government, if they discount the backpackers and the young tourists coming here, then I think they discount the future tourists. Because a lot of the people, listen, a lot of the Aussies, they've been coming here for 20, 30 years. They might be 60 years old. So if they started coming when they were 20, or maybe they came, I know somebody who came here when he was a young boy. I know a couple people. They've come, they were younger. They were 10, 15, 20 years old. Look at, you know, my sister's kids came here. Now, in another 10 years, for whatever reason, whether it be work, whether it be business of some kind, you know, or just for tourism, they might decide, I want to go back there. Because to them, they still remember, they have a good memory, a good vision of what was going on then, and they only remember what the good things were. But they might come back, and if things are quite a bit different, they might go, you know, I'm 23 now. I was a kid then. I didn't realize it was like this. I'm not coming back. So I think it's very important that they cater to the younger people and to the backpackers, not only the high-heeled, well-heeled tourists. Yeah, well, no comment. Yeah, I think that's important, and I think that when you have, there are some elderly people out there protesting, but I dare say, and I don't really know for sure, but I'm gonna guess that a lot of the pro-monarchy people are slightly older than the university students. You know, all in all, they're not going to get in any trouble. They're not going to have problems with the government, you know. Well, if Longhorns is old, then I feel ancient, because he's not that old. But, you know, I don't think, it's my own opinion. I don't want to state this as fact. It's my own opinion that Thailand has taken a hard hit to its reputation. Now, if I was a gambling man, God, you know, it's hard for me to gamble or bet against the country bouncing back, because they've done so many times. But there's always a first time for everything. So I guess it depends on what the odds are. Odds that the economy bounce back, you know, I guess it depends on what the odds are. You know, this is the world we live in, and I'll be honest, I don't want to, listen, I don't have bad things about, you know, rarely do I say really bad things about people. Like, man, that guy is horrible. I try to look at both sides, or all sides. I try to be somewhat compassionate most of the time. I have no patience for stupidity. And, you know, like earlier in this stream, if some guy wants to start spouting off what he wants to talk about and all these other kind of things, listen, there's a limit. So if you really want to, start your own channel. Simple. But is, you know, has the reputation taken a hit? Yeah. And would I personally recommend somebody to come here and, you know, make the effort to jump through the hoops right now? No way. Would I recommend somebody coming here to live? Nah. No, not now. Not until they wait it out and see exactly where everything's going. What's happening here? Even Jono, who I was talking to the other, you know, yesterday, and, you know, we talk all the time. Every couple of days we talk. You know, he was saying, hey, listen, when I first came over here, yeah, I didn't really realize exactly what, you know, how the place is and what's going on here. Now I do. And now I think a little bit differently. Is he unhappy? No. Am I unhappy? Well, I'm happy to an extent. But, you know, it's kind of like if you are sitting in the middle of a pile of shit, if you're not a pig, how happy are you really going to be? And I think there's a lot of people around the world that are trying to stay optimistic, stay positive, and be happy. But, you know, we're in the middle of a pandemic. There's a lot of people who can't see their family. They can't travel. They can't do things. They're weary. You know, they're just run ragged by everything. And so, you know, it's very difficult to be upbeat. And I'm no different. You know, every day I contemplate, you know, what's going to happen to my kids. What's the right move for them? My wife, I think she's going to be fine. I always think that, because she's pretty sharp and dialed in, and she's a go-getter. You know, she always seems to find ways to do things, which is how a lot of Thais are. They always find a way. You know, most people, if they're put down to the test, they're going to find a way, or they're, you know, only the strong survive. But there's a lot of things I think about. You know, do I really want to live under some kind of a Chinese-themed government? No. No way, you know? This fucking guy. There's a lot of weirdos here now. A lot of weirdos. Maybe I'm a weirdo and I don't recognize normal, but I think I'm somewhere in the middle. Anyway. Benny, I wanted to ask you, the Bitcoin, did you send it to the old Bitcoin address or the one that's in the description now? please let me know. If you start choosing random people, yeah, it could be you. Listen, I never said I was 100%, you know, there. I wasn't concerned 10 years ago. I really wasn't all that concerned back then. I'm more concerned now because of the execution of power, because of the pandemic and the seemingly huge change in direction. And for all the coups and protests, to me, it's always been Thailand, but it has seemed to change for me in the past 10 or 15 years. I mean, I've been saying for a long time, hey, this place is changing, this place is changing, this place is changing. And maybe it was just a feel, maybe I just got lucky, but that's how I feel. And that's how I felt, and I still feel that way. I still think there's a lot more changes going to happen. And, you know, change is always constant, so it's easy for me to say that and then to see it happen. But, you know, I yearn for the days when there was chaos, when loss was the opposite of the West. Well, you know, now it's not so much about the West as it is globalization, and, you know, places realize, hey, this Burger King thing's, you know, people like it. Let's head over to Burger King. Let's put a Burger King franchise in, and, you know, we'll allow it. We get money, blah 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 blah, and that's the way that it works. Hang on a second. Back. Benny, I don't see it yet, so I don't know when you sent it, but it has not come yet. So, you might want to double check. Anyway, this is Thailand. This is the world. It's not, you know, I wish I could just say, oh, this is, you know, oh, Thailand's reputation is sagging. What country right now, their reputation has jumped dramatically? You know, how many countries are going, oh yeah, we're doing better than we were before the COVID? Not many. Well, Stephen, that's a very succinct, Rick, what's happening? That's a very succinct statement. And, you know, they try to cater to the West, and I mean, you know, I guess it's again, it's, you know, it's a fine line. How much do you really want to cater to them? To the tourists? How much do you want to cater? How much do you just want to be the real Thailand? And like I said, when I first came over here, all those years ago, I stayed in the Prince Hotel in Chiang Mai. I went for like, I don't remember, I think it was 5 days up Chiang Rai, down the river, went up into the mountains, and stayed in some little village where they were all selling opium, and everybody was just, you know, chilling out in the houses and sleeping, and, you know, everybody was tired from the hiking and everything. Took an elephant up part of the way. Man, that stuff was as real as it's gonna get, you know. Once the mobile phone came in, when I came over, the mobile phone I had was a big Motorola. You know, it wasn't huge, but it was, you know, it was one of the first Motorola's that came out. And all of a sudden, all these, you know, these hookers and people in general started having these smartphones. And I'm like, how do they have one and I don't have one? I need to get one of these things. Then it was like, listen, the only reason I need a cell phone is to call women. When I first came over here, I was like, I don't need it for anything else. And I got some cheap phone, just to have a phone. You know, but I think that was the beginning of the end of Thailand traditionally. Now it's morphed into something much different. You know, listen, you just look over here. Look at this. I remember going into places, and I remember this in Myanmar also. And Myanmar has grown a little bit and changed, but not nearly as much as here. I remember going into malls and department stores, whatever, and it was like, you were like, what is this junk? You're like, what? And they were selling the same old stuff that they were selling from, Chatuchak and up in Chiang Mai and other places. And yeah, they had clothes and but I could never find what I wanted. I almost never could find a designer brand if I really wanted to buy a nice shirt. It was really hard. That's all changed, So, change, like I said, change is inevitable. I think it's the book that I've said this several times. The Book of Changes, I Ching, Chinese book that says something to the effect of the only constant in life is change. So whether or not people are really going to be happy with the changes that are made here compared to the last time they've been here, who knows? But it's the whole world that's changing, so I think that's where we're at. Now, how is Thailand going to get its reputation as the #1 tourism destination back? I think you need to be genuine, and you need to understand that, and hey, listen, this can apply in many different areas. You understand that the more real you are, the more apt people are, and you're honest with them and you're decent to them, the more apt people are to come back to you as a company. I'll never forget when one of the first trips I took, I went to Koh Samet, and I went with this lovely young lady who was a friend of mine. And I went to Koh Samet. I went to this little tourism place, and I get to the hotel, and they didn't have any air conditioning. Oh, sorry, air conditioning, no good. And I was like, what? I gotta have an air conditioner, man. So I called up the tour company, little place on Sukhumvit Soi 5. Just next to, there's a restaurant there, and just next to that restaurant, I don't even know if I don't remember if the tour company is still there, but the tour company was there at the time. It was this little old lady. I called her up. I said, hey, listen, this place, it's not what I thought. It doesn't even have air conditioning. You told me this place was going to be, modern and have air conditioning. No problem. She said, you call me back 5 minutes or something like that. I called her back. I have a bungalow for you. Go and check it out. I said, okay. I go down there. It was 500 baht a night. It was a bungalow right on the beach. It was a better location than the other place, and it had, believe it or not, an air conditioner on it that froze the place out. So it was really good. And the girl liked it there. I liked it there. It was a really nice place. And, Koh Samet's changed a lot since then. But that was, and you still get that now. But I just think there's a different mentality now. This place has matured. I said that the other day as well. As a tourism destination, this place has matured. And now it's like a cranky old man. It's kind of like me. A grouchy old man. Whereas before it was the young go-getter, hustler kid, trying to get all the money they could and get all the customers, and everybody would like them so they'd come back, so they'd get rich. Now it's not the same. And weary is a very good word, because if you see the places that I've been, if for those who have been following the channel and everything and who've been watching the streams and the videos, yeah, exactly. All right, you do that, Longhorns. TMI. Listen, one thing that I remember is a lady up in Nakhon Phanom at the noodle shop who spoke English with me. She sat down, she talked to me. I remember our communication. I remember talking to her. I remember the lady who was at the hotel who told me some of the better places to go and how to go there and what I should do. And the old man who drove me around. I remember these people. I remember the Mutmi the Mut Mi Hotel up there in Nong Khai. Okay, I remember all these places because of the people. And as someone tells me all the time, it's not necessarily, you know, what you get and the price it is and all that kind of stuff that matters to people. It's the feeling you get from the place or the people involved and how you leave that place and what you remember. And so those places in particular, you know, some of the places where I was walking from Masai to wherever it was I ended up, near Payao or wherever exactly it was, you know, I didn't have much time to really interact with people. I do remember the woman. She was an older woman. She was very well dressed, very well put together, very nice looking older woman who I was extremely hot, and she talked to me for I don't know how long, for a number of minutes, and we were talking about, you know, the neighborhood and what the city is like, what the town is like, and that kind of thing. And the pharmacy girl. I remember all of these things. And you know why? It's because of how the people treated me. Now, I also remember what happened the other day with the guy, the security guard, who didn't want me shooting any video while I was sitting on the planter. As long as I stood up and I was on the sidewalk, he really couldn't say anything. I remember that. Now, do I hate on the guy because of that? No, I don't. You know, I don't particularly like it, but I'm not hating on the guy. You know, he's trying to do a job. Who knows? Maybe he's got an asshole boss. And, you know, if any video gets out and he gets blamed for it, he loses his job or whatever. You know, who knows? So that's the thing, and I think that's a good point, that it's the people, the genuine, authentic Thais who, yes, they want to make a buck. Of course they do. They got, you know, a family to feed or whatever. They got partying to be able to pay for, whatever it might be. And those are the people that I think tourists are going to want. And that's the reason why tourists are going to want to come back, because of those memories that they have of people. You know, I've been thinking about some islands for, let me see. I don't see it in my CASHAPP because that's supposedly the CASHAPP address, but I have another address which I don't know which one exactly you used. I have to plug in the Trezor thing, you know, the little wallet, the secure wallet. I'll have to plug that in when I get home and double check. If you will, send me an email and I'll send you an email back letting you know if I got it or not. And then we can work it out if you want to do that. But thank you. The older generation left an indelible effect on me. It was their consistency and the simple things that they did that means so much. Yeah, definitely. And I do think that, you know, it's, well, there are some beautiful beaches. There are beautiful places to visit. There are wonderful things to do here. There are an enormous number of excellent things to do here. I think it's the people that really make the place. You know, you think about just, I mean, you know, and I don't know how this comes off, but it doesn't really matter. But you think about all the interactions I've had while streaming, and I dare say, you know, almost all of them have been really positive, fun, even if they're, you know, quite short and to the point or whatever. They're almost always kind of fun and, you know, they're the kind of interactions that I expect, you know, I've come to expect from Thais, because they tend to be very friendly and nice and genuine people. Now, you know, listen, I asked my wife once about why it is that some Thais are not quite as nice to you as others, and she's like, well, maybe because, you know, familiarity. And they, you know, after a while, you're not such a novelty anymore. You're, and, you know, like, especially in tourist areas, they get sick of it. They get sick of having to say the same things, just like I get sick of if I walk down Walking Street, hey, mister, where you go? What's your name? Are you a handsome man? And I get sick of that shit. So, you know, the younger generations are not so bad, just distracted by things that do not matter. Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't have, honestly, I don't have all that many really bad interactions between myself and Thais. I don't know where you are. You know, it doesn't really matter. You're gonna always have people that they don't like you for whatever reason, or they don't want to talk to you, or they're busy, or there's always going to be some, you know, you can't go walking around and everybody's got a smile on their face all the time. Everybody's happy to see you and they're so thrilled that you're there. You're not that special. Neither am I. So, you know, you got to temper your expectations a little bit. And I sure hope that things get better here because, you know, for the people. And you know, my family is Thai. You know, my kids are obviously Thai Americans. And they know how it can be. But they also experience a lot of the good things from here. You know, for the most part, they don't have to worry about some drive-by. They don't have to worry about, you know, the protests or anything like that. They have a good life, you know. They laugh all the time. They're happy. So what more do you want? You know, that's the other thing. What exactly is it you want? How great can a tourist destination be? Hey, I got away for 2 weeks. I came back. I was recharged, and I had the experience of a lifetime. That's the best you can hope for. You know. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, how much better can you put it than that? You come back from a place, you had a great time, you know, maybe you met a little companion, and you know, you come back feeling better than when you left. That's a great thing. Feel comfortable with who they are. Yeah. You know, like I've been saying, you know, there is an element of, well, I'm older than you, so I can tell you what to do. And that doesn't always fly. It doesn't fly with me. But then again, I'm getting older than a lot of people, so it doesn't really matter. Ageism works both ways, yes. Monash, you have actually come up with some excellent insight during this chat. Aside from, you know, she's a 9. Are we even allowed to rate women that way? Or are they allowed to rate guys? I would think so, but I don't know. You know, in this day and age, I don't know that you're allowed. Is that, like, politically incorrect? I don't even know. I don't even know what's politically incorrect anymore. Seriously. Gennaro, he's a terrible influence. We know where Gennaro, at least we know where his mind is. His mind is on the barista. Now, I did ask Preo if she is a full-on barista, and she said, no. She's not yet, but hopefully she will be soon. Yeah, right. You never noticed them before. Uh-huh. What's wrong with you then? Now, where are we at for time here? 2 hours is 120. We're at 160. We're at 2.5 hours. I don't know if I can keep this going. Well, we have 78 people here watching. We got 3 people communicating here. Longhorns is out probably playing with his dog or something. I don't know. Oh, so they got the little dude here working here right now, and then they got Preo working here. They usually have 3 people, but early in the morning they have 2. And I always come here early in the morning. First of all, because it's when it's before 9 o'clock, they can drive straight up my road, right into the mall, and then go against traffic and drive me right here in front of Starbucks. Whereas if it's after 9 o'clock, you have to go the long way around, take the U-turn, come back, and then come in. Not a big deal, but you know, this is the Mall Bangkok over parallel to Huamak Stadium, Rajamangala Stadium on Ramkhameng Road. They parallel each other. You can get from one to the other actually through a shortcut. Well, yeah, I mean, I've known that park for a long time, and but I do like the fact that the guy's got 15 baht coffee. So you know, like if I got 100 baht, 200 baht on me, I don't need to go to the ATM and take a bunch of money out. I just walk over there, have my little coffee, have a little something to eat, 50 baht, and then you know I can either take a motorbike back or whatever, you know. No, Starbucks can't imitate it. Now, actually, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for another coffee shop like that, and I think right next to the mall there is one. You know, where they use the bag, they use the traditional method, they use the sock. Yeah, this is Bangkok. This is the Mall Bangkok, and this is the Bangkok, Huamak, Klongjan area. Yeah, it's fantastic for 15 baht. That's like a little 50-cent coffee. And they have the condensed sweetened milk in it, which, you know, it tastes good. You know, that's pretty good in this day and age. Let me show you something here. You don't see those big railings that were up holding up the ramp. That is gone. And so is the ramp. The form that they put down there, all the metal bars and some of the bamboo, all that's down on the ground. You can't see it. They've got it hidden. But they took the ramp down, and what they're going to eventually have to do is they're going to have to knock down the ramp. I don't know how they're going to do it. There's just a little tiny portion sticking out from a hole in the wall, and they're going to have to, shore up that wall, close it up. And I don't know, I want to know what it's going to be like once they have the SkyTrain, but I don't want to know that bad. Tear down that wall, yeah. You know, there's a fair number of people here. And, you know, most of the time when you see people walking through the mall, they have their mask on, or they have their mask around their chin because maybe they've forgotten to put it up or whatever it might be. But they do tend to wear their masks. So this is what's happening in Thailand, at least from my perspective. And is it going to change? I wish I knew. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell, but here you go, Gennaro. Gennaro and Mr. Minaj. You can see out there that it is a quite sunny day, and those bars that I was talking about are down now. I'm just wondering what they're going to do with the overpass and how they're going to work the SkyTrain coming through there. I'm still unsure of that. As I am unsure of many things that are happening here and around the world. What do I know? I'm just some guy who comments, you know. That's the thing. Who's asleep? Joe? Or your dog's asleep? Gennaro. Oh, he's probably, yeah, he could be. I like how people, they're in the midst of the conversation and the next thing you know, they're completely asleep. They're gone. I don't take it personally. You know. I know it's the soothing nature of my voice that puts them to sleep. You're sleepy. You're sleepy. Is that what it is? I don't know. Some people have to work, you know? I don't know. I got a bunch of videos I've been meaning to put up. I'll probably put, you know, this rapid fire succession of videos up in the next couple of days. I got some from Pattaya. I got some from the boat on the way to Khao San the other day. I got stuff I don't even remember. I got some of Mr. Longhorn's that I forgot about from, you know, I had some kind of a corruption with those files from Myanmar, but I did manage to save them, and I found them day before yesterday. I got my plate is full, man. I mean, you know, the gallery's asking me for, the guy who runs the gallery is asking me for more photos, keep uploading them. Try to get as many of your landscape shots as you can and all this kind of stuff, and, you know, get out there and start taking more. And I'm like, well, when I start seeing the money, then, you know, right now I got to continue with the YouTube channel and writing and thinking about what am I gonna do next, and what's happening with the virus, and you know, keeping the kids happy and making sure they're all right. I got my plate full. Not to mention, it's hard for me to sleep sometimes. Dog's toilet break. Gennaro is fixated on the hottie. Well, say goodbye to Miss Preo. She's gone. She's taking her break, I guess. You know, they get a break every so often. You know, it still is a beautiful day out today. It's not cloudy like it's gonna rain. I believe it's still gonna be somewhat pleasant. And I think the baht, the Thai dollar, the Thai baht is 31.34 to the dollar, which isn't terrible. I wish it would get up to over 32, but you never know what's going to happen. I think that if the protests continue, the value of the dollar is going to go up and the value of the baht's going to drop. So it's always good for people getting paid in, you know, U.S. dollars in the United States. So, something to think about. But the air quality is garbage today. I don't know why, but it's seriously unhealthy. We're going to take a little look outside again. This is for you, Mr. Monash, and for you, Longhorns, to a lesser extent. This is not Friends. What's the name of that place that they have at Friends for the coffee shop on that TV show? I never watched that show because I could never stand the complete goofiness of the characters. I watched like an episode and I was like, this is the dumbest sitcom I've ever seen in my life. And yet people liked it. You know, whatever the coffee shop was. It's similar here, you know, except people, I don't see groups of people sitting as much yapping at each other. You know, I've asked my wife to come to the coffee shop, but she almost never wants to go. I make my own coffee. She just wants to make it at home. Oh. She always wants to make her coffee, and she does have a special way of making the coffee where she mixes it up before she puts all the water in. She puts a little bit of water on, mixes it up. This is the instant I'm talking about right now. Sometimes she'll have an Americana or whatever, and she'll mix it up, and it gets sludge-like, and it's quite good. All right, I hope I made you happy, Mr. Minaj. But anyway, yeah, she makes a really good coffee. I don't usually drink it, but she likes to drink it. So most of the time, she doesn't drink coffee at Starbucks or Cafe Amazon or any of these places. She doesn't want to. And if she's going to drink anything, sometimes she'll just get it from 7-Eleven because they do have good coffee there. And they also have, what does she get? Espresso Yen. She gets the cold espresso. So... always got to slam poor Gennaro, huh? Listen, Gennaro is a manly man, you know? He wants as many as he can get. The Central Perk, is that what it was? Yeah. I never got into that show for some reason. Joey was from your high school. Oh. Now, is that the character's name or is that the person's name? Isn't it the character? Wasn't he the idiot on the show? Central Perk is a comment. I don't think Gennaro is saintly, and I don't think anybody on this chat is saintly. Let's get real. You think I'm saintly? I mean, you know, come on. I'm a nice guy. I'm a big old teddy bear. I'm a sweetheart. It doesn't mean I'm saintly, though. What is that song by Michael Jackson and Paul McCartney? What is it? I don't want to sing it. Oh, which by the way, I got to go sing a song today with my kid. My Guitar Gently Weeps. I don't know if I can pull that one off. What was that song I heard last night? Ebony and Ivory. There is good and bad in everyone. Yeah, I think that's it. So, you know, there it is there. There's the saintliness of Mr. Minaj, and then there is the unsaintliness. I heard a song last night. What is the name of that song? It's by The Church. That's the name of the group, The Church. Under a milky sky or something like that. Hadn't heard that song in years. And I was like, great song. And if you listen to the acoustic version, the reason I'm always listening, for my own benefit, but also I hear songs that Alex might not listen to and I give it to him. I told him, hey, this song, they have it in an acoustic version. You might want to try to play it that way because he always wants to he wants to shred, and I don't want him shredding all the time. I don't think it's good to just do that. I think you need to, you know, play the slow and the fast and the, you know, soft and the hard. Anyway, I like that. I do like that song, The Church. So if you want, give it a listen. They have two versions, like I said. Sad to see him retire. Actually, you know, I think he's a perfect example of how a fighter should be. All right, Benny, take it easy. Send me a message, and I'll let you know. I think he's a perfect example of what a fighter should be. He lives, eats, and breathes his sport. If you're a boxer, and I said this about Oscar De La Hoya before, if you're a boxer, yeah, that's right, Matt LeBlanc. If you are a boxer, you don't want to be on Dancing with the Stars. You don't want to be putting out a record. You don't want to be, you know, taking part in marathons when you're supposed to be in the gym fighting and preparing for a fight. What I will say about Khabib is, my guess is, because of his promise to his mother, and because of the fact that his father just died, and because of the fact that he is so revered, he has no other reason to continue to fight. And I think he's smart enough and religious enough and values and worships his mother enough where he is not going to continue. Now, he may compete in, jiu-jitsu tournaments and, in Abu Dhabi and things like that, but I think it's good he retired. He doesn't need to prove that he can beat Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor, the way I look at it, he's a great fighter, a great marketing person. He markets well as a fighter. But I think he would have had to have caught Khabib with a big shot to have stopped him. And I think it was Khabib was well trained enough, and I think he's tough enough and still in his prime. And I think it would have been the same thing. He would have beat McGregor again. And yeah, with this, Gaethje, I mean, hey, man, he's a tough dude. He's a strong, tough, young, in his prime fighter. And he just, it didn't take him long to end it. So, you can say what you want about all the other fights that can come up. Guess what? There's always going to be fights for him. Maybe 10 years from now, he should have fought this guy. He should have fought that guy. He could fight this guy now. Do I see Floyd Mayweather ever coming back and fighting? Nope. I don't think it's going to happen. Do I see McGregor fighting Pacquiao? Yeah. Do I see Tyson fighting Jones? Yeah. Eventually. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. That's life. You get over it. After a while, you learn. This kind of stuff, things fall through. People, they say they're retired and they're not. I do think with Khabib, he is going to retire. Simple as that. Anyway, I think this course has run its course. This stream has run its course. I think Gennaro and Mr. Minaj have seen all the lovely young Thai ladies that they can handle in one day. And I think we've sufficiently discussed and thoroughly discussed this topic. I'm going to have to think of something else to talk about or somewhere to go in the next couple of days. And other places to go. I'm still contemplating, where do I want to go? Do I really want to go there? I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. Mr. Gallagher, thank you. Thank you very much for all your assistance. I appreciate it. I hope everybody enjoyed the stream. Laid back, generally problem-free stream. I like that. If you have not subscribed already, please subscribe. Subscription count is going up now, slowly but surely. As is the ad revenue, for whatever reason. I don't know why, but it just started to go up recently, which is a good thing. It's still peanuts. I mean, listen, it's, I'm not PewDiePie. I'm not making $500 or $1,000 a month even. So, until it gets to about $1,000, I'm going to be like, listen, it's peanuts, or $500. I'll be like, it's peanuts. And largely it is, but that's okay. There is a positive direction going, and I like that, and I appreciate all the support. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. If you haven't left a thumbs up, please leave a thumbs up. If you're watching later on, sorry you couldn't join real time, but there's only so much I can do. And yeah, look at the t-shirts. Check out the t-shirts. Thanks again to the people who bought the t-shirts. Thank you to Benny. Hopefully I'll see the Bitcoin that came through. And what else? Yeah, I guess that's it. So thank you very much. And until next time, I am Scott. I'm an American in Bangkok, at least for now. And that's all I got. That's all I have. So choke D. Jerken Mai, and all that good stuff. All right, arrivederci. Good luck. See you later, and be well. Thank you very much, Mr. Tony G. Comes in at the buzzer. Bzzz, right on the buzzer. Thank you very much. Appreciate all your support as well. And here's a big shout out to Miss Beer.
Yes.
Thank you. You get a little Miss Beer before I leave. So thank you very much, Miss Beer. Okay, bye now. Bye, Leona. Bye-bye. Thanks for her saying goodbye. Appreciate that. There you go. You get a little bye-bye from somebody a little bit better looking than me. So yeah, Jerkin the Gherkin, Chok Di, Jerkin Mai, and Arrivederci, Au revoir, Ciao Bella, all that good stuff. See ya.